Welcome to Crosby's Crew.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Crosby's Crew. We have an awesome guest, but like I do every episode, before we do the introductions, I will do a toast. So here's to the quarterback who leads the charge, the kicker who seals the deal, and the wines that remind us that precision and patience always pay off. To great teammates, great bottles, and great stories. Cheers.
I love it. That's a great one.
Cheers.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
Excited for these. All right, Molly.
Well, this is a pretty big day for Crosby's Crew, thanks to a connection that some of our friends here in Brentwood made for us, the Roaches, the very, very famous Roaches. We've actually, since before our podcast officially started, we would talk to people about the idea and they'd say, oh, well, Drew Bledsoe is the first person you should have on. And especially after we had your wine, we agreed. And so today we're going to unpack this story a little bit of your journey since 2008. A lot of people have some football questions they want us to ask you too. So we're going to enjoy 3 wines that you selected for today. We're going to answer our listener questions. We're going to have you ask us a question, anything you want. We've had some doozies. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what it would look like to come out and visit your winery.
Awesome. So what
Great.
do you,
This sounds fun. Let's go.
Yeah. Yep. Drew
Not bad for
Bledsoe
Monday.
joining the Crosby's Crew. So would love to have you introduce these wines.
What order do you want to taste
and what
them?
order should we
or are we
start?
just doing all of them at once?
Just mix them all together. Just make a big blend. You know,
I
just
like
it's like make it a party.
Efficient.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so remind me which wines we sent. So we sent Estate Reserve from Doubleback, right?
Yep.
We sent the Cooley Estate,
Yes.
Pinot Noir, and
Yep.
what was the third? And then what was the
A
third one?
Syrah, the State Syrah.
Is that? Did we send? I think we sent. Did we send Lafleur?
Lafleur.
Estate or
yes.
yeah, Lafleur Estate. Okay, awesome. Oh man, that's a good lineup. I suppose we'd probably start with the Pinot as we're going through there. It's just kind of I don't know. I always kind of like to start kind of from the lightest and work our way up a little bit.
Methodical. Is this like a check down? Is this like a check down for you?
It's a progression. It's a progression in quarterback
Nice.
terms. Yeah, you got to work your way through the progression. Yeah, man, it's been such a fun ride, man. We got into wine while I was playing ball. And when it's time for me to ask you guys questions, we'll get into your wine journey, but you know, as you can imagine, as any good quarterback, you know, the guys really liked to drink any wine that I bought for them.
That you bought.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, exactly. Like it turns out all the guys like free red and free white. But as we started, there were a lot of us that sort of got into wine, and so we started collecting wines from all over the place, and we would have guys come over the house. They would ask what to bring, and I would say, just bring a good bottle of red wine. And so we would do blind tastings at the house. We'd line them all up on the counter, and we would taste through these. Well, I'm from Walla Walla, Washington, this little tiny town out in the wheat fields. It's probably it's similar to Green Bay, only smaller, actually. You know, it's wheat fields, and it's about 30,000 people.
That's awesome.
You know, it was just a killer place to grow up. But you know, as I was off playing ball, they started making wine there. And so I was just curious, you know, like, how's my little hometown stack up against the big boys? You know, so these guys would bring over these expensive wines from Napa and Bordeaux, and I think Heward brought some stuff from Argentina. So when we did these blind tastings, I would put something from Walla Walla into the lineup just out of curiosity. And every time we did that, we would unveil from, you know, last place to first place. So every time we did that, the Walla Walla wine would win. You know, against these wines that are sometimes 4 and 5 times as expensive, and very, very famous. And so for me, that was when the light bulb went off that, you know, maybe after this football thing was over, could double back to my hometown, which is where the name of the original wine comes from, and start a wine business. But you know, I mean, I don't know. We'll talk about the wines you guys have gotten into over the years, but you know, back in the 90s and early 2000s, there were a lot of quote unquote athlete wines out there. And to be honest with you, I didn't find very many of them that were serious wine. Most of them felt like it. Most of them felt like they were almost endorsement deals. And we did not want to do that. There obviously were some famous exceptions there. Tom Seaver was making really real wine in Napa and so on. But we didn't want to go that way. We wanted it to be about the quality of the wine first. And then if people cared that I played football and that got them to try the wine, great. But the wine had to come first. And so
love that.
That was really the inception of the business, and started out with one wine. And from there it's grown and changed and morphed. And the Coulee Estate Pinot Noir that you're sipping on, it's kind of cool. I mean, we drink a lot of Pinot Noir in our house, a lot of Oregon Pinot Noir around the house. And the fun thing is that my wife is from Portland, Oregon, which is in the Willamette Valley of Oregon, which is where this vineyard is. So we've got 2 or 3 different wineries. 2 of them are in my hometown valley, and one is in my wife's hometown valley.
Oh, that's awesome.
But not just because we want to go home, but we just happen to both grow up in amazing wine regions. And so it's just sort of this serendipitous deal that both of us, my wife grew up essentially in Burgundy, and I grew up essentially in Bordeaux in the Northwest, and
that's awesome.
So it's pretty fun to be able to go back and do that and have that strong connection.
When are you grabbing this bottle of wine? What's the setting? What time of day? What kind of food? No food, maybe, because it feels pretty easy drinking.
To be honest with you, like the wines that you have that you're opening, that you're going to be sipping on, or I think you got the Coravin on there, which I love that, by the way. We honestly, these 3 wines, we don't get to drink very often because the Coulee Estate, we don't make very much of it.
So you're selling that. That's getting out there into the world.
It's getting out there. And then I've tried to, I don't know if you guys have the same problem, but I have a real problem with our cellar, and I guess it's a high class problem. But when I bring our wines home, especially the top ones, like the ones that you have, my intent always is to put them down and age them for a few years. But when they come home, they go away. I blame Mara. It's generally her fault.
Right.
Typical. Well done.
But that Coulee Estate, one thing that I want you guys to experience, and it won't happen during the time that we're talking, but I really feel like this wine, it's great right out of the first sips. I think are really plush and pretty, but this wine will really start to show itself, over the course of like the next couple hours. It's a serious Pinot Noir. It leans a little more to, at least in this will be the case with more of our wines as we go through, leans, at least to my palate, a little more toward the old world than some of the new world Pinot Noirs that are out there. And one thing that I really truly appreciate about Josh, who's our winemaker, it's real Pinot. It's elegant. It's pretty, but it also has some substance to it. It has some palate weight to it, which there's kind of a fine line for me, at least in Pinot Noir. A lot of the New World Pinot Noirs can get just too light, and they're very easy drinking. They're pretty. They taste good, but it's just, you just kind of just drinking wine. Where this wine, I think, has some substance and some complexity to it that's really cool, that tends to try to reveal itself over time. As you go through the wine.
I think that is like the idea, right? Like Pinot, sometimes people are like, it's fruity, it's jammy, it's all that. But like these real, like a Pinot like this, you can almost like, it's a little more, it's like earthy. Like you can really taste the soil, and like it's got a little hint of spice in there, but it's like, it's so smooth and really good throughout the whole experience. You're not getting just like, all right, man, wow, I'm just getting this huge jam forward, approach right from the beginning, which that's how I love my Pinots. Like this is like the exact profile that I enjoy in a Pinot Noir for sure.
You are a Pinot darling.
I am a Pinot darling.
It's interesting to me. Can I just think, we still collect wines from around the world, and we're not just only drinking our own stuff. God forbid. It's called research and development. It's called research and development. Exactly. By the way,
you are in the right business.
It's just like watching film, right? You're just
you're
studying.
Got to study some other wines. But the wines that I gravitate to, the wines that find their way into our cellar, are wines that have that complexity to them, where it's not the first sip. it's like the second glass or even maybe the third glass where it really starts to reveal itself. And the wines from Northern Italy, we've always been huge fans of, and those wines, the first glass, like, okay, then you have some food, and then you kind of get, and then by the time you're at the end, it's like, okay, shit, go get another bottle, hurry up, because I'm just starting to figure this wine out. Where some of the stereotypical New World wines, I feel like have gone the opposite direction, where the first sip just hits you right in the face. It's really obvious, and then from there on out, it's just not that interesting.
I love that.
Anymore,
yeah, you're not exploring anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a time and place for those wines. We still have those wines, and it's a good place to start if you've never had wine. It's like, oh, it's obvious. Oh, there's vanilla and berries, and it's.
You want to work for it a little bit to get to know it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get to know it. It's we probably don't know each other well enough, but because you Jim and Amy, I know I can kind of go here with this.
Oh yeah.
So some of those, there are wines that were the wines that you would date in college, but not necessarily bring home to your mother.
You're not going to marry that one.
And then there are the wines that you want to get married to because they have so much depth and complexity that you're really proud to get to know them over more time. And that's about as PC as I can say that.
That was well done. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm,
not
as a
full,
quarterback, you're always kind of a politician when you're a quarterback, so you learn how to say things and let people
what you're doing.
Yeah.
I know. If it was just us talking here, we got to keep this family, somewhat family friendly. We can't go full locker room.
Our kids like to listen to this and actually one of our friends, shout out to Ada Nelson, one of Mason's former teammates, who is actually, I hate to say this, like you'd probably enjoy drinking wine with him more than us because you have such similar backgrounds. He's from a tiny town in Kansas. I mean, I think it's 3 towns incorporated or 300 people.
500 or so.
And
that's even smaller.
Jordy Nelson. I mean, he's from tiny town.
So, and they're big wine people, and their cute little daughter, Ada, Emily said she was listening to a podcast the other day. And Ada was like, is that Crosby's Crew? Because that's my favorite. I'm like, Emily, you're the best for listening to our podcast. I'll try to keep it buttoned up. I'll try to keep it buttoned up. Yeah, for Ada. But so here's our question to pair with this wine. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, you were the youngest QB to go to the Pro Bowl, and right out of the gates, Doubleback, earned accolades top 100, right?
Yeah.
So how does that feel to, to hit success out of the gates like that in both these industries that you've settled into?
It was really cool. So the Pro Bowl story, the cool story there was my dad was a high school football coach and high school teacher. And this is long enough ago that, when I found out that I made that first Pro Bowl, he didn't have, no cell phone, and so
you actually got to tell him?
I actually called the school, and they walked down the hall with one of those little pink little message notes from back in the olden days. So my dad has this little post-it little message note that says, "From Drew, Dad, I made the Pro Bowl."
That's so cool.
And he still has that little note, which is cool. And then the day that we found out that we had made the top 100 wines in the world list with our very first release, I happened to have 4 of my high school buddies hanging out at the house. This is the wine's brand new. And so we had just opened a bottle of Doubleback, and I'm sitting around with my, my idiot friends from high school. And that's a term of affection, as you know.
Yes, exactly.
And I got the email. I was like, holy shit, we just made the top 100 wines in the world list with our first vintage. So yeah, really, really cool. And honestly, as we talked about earlier, it was sort of some early validation that the business we were building was not about some jock that wants to have a vanity project.
Yeah.
This was about real wine. And,
that's awesome.
And that's continued to be the foundation of our business. And I think it works. You can have that flash, where people, we'll try the wine now, but then if the wine doesn't stand up, then they're going to buy it once and never going to come back to it again. So it's that part's been really, really cool.
Well, that's also, like you're saying, being the first overall pick, and kind of the comparison too. That's like, all right, first overall pick, all the pressure, all the things that come with that. And so then to go and make a Pro Bowl, that early, it's just the same way with the wine where it validated. Like this is where I'm meant to be, what I'm meant to do. And that's just awesome. Which one did you celebrate more? The early question. Pro Bowl or the top 100 wine?
Which one did you celebrate better?
Yes.
That's a great question. Well, we certainly opened a few bottles of wine that night when we found out.
I'm sure.
Because my high school friends, just like my old teammates, they like the wine that I buy for them.
More research and development.
Yeah, more R&D. The Pro Bowl was far more expensive.
Right.
Because that first year I made the mistake, and I don't know if you did this, Mason, but I'm checking into the hotel. Jim Kelly walks by, and of course, Jim Kelly is, to me, I'm 21 at this point. Jim Kelly's on Mount Rushmore, and he goes, "Hey, Rook, congrats, made first Pro Bowl." I was like, "Oh, thanks, Mr. Kelly." He goes, "Hey man, what room are you in? I'll swing by." "Oh, I'm in the 1156, and you know how that story ends, right?
Oh,
you know how that story ends.
Big bill.
Everything that they charged the whole week went to my room. So the Pro Bowl cost me money. I didn't make any money.
Oh, that's unbelievable. Oh, man.
But obviously happy to pay it, but it was a far more expensive celebration than just hanging out with my buddies.
That's so classic. I love that. I love that you have that, though, that it was Jim Kelly, and it's like you make that one time. You make that mistake once. You get time. Once on that.
Yeah, and then you pay it forward next time you
exactly.
have a chance.
Exactly.
Well, let's pick up our Syrah, our Syrah also, and we can kind of look at the two. You can introduce us to it, and then we've got another little football segue for you.
Yeah. So the Syrah.
Oh, wow.
Syrah is a really interesting varietal to me because it's grown in some of the most famous wine regions in the world. In Australia, it goes by Shiraz or Shiraz, depending on how I think the Aussies pronounce it Shiraz. And to me, the reason that the Bledsoe McDaniel's winery is based on Pinot Noir and Syrah is because, to me, of the major varietals, those two varietals are the most expressive of the place they're grown. Pinot Noir, grown in different styles in different places can be just very, very different. And Syrah, it's partly, that it's expressive of where it's grown, and it's also very expressive of winemaker and grape grower decisions. Nice. Because Syrah can go in a really short time period, depending on when you pick it. It can go from kind of a little green, kind of bell peppery, which that's not really what I'm looking for. But in a really short period of time in the vineyard, it can tip over and become just this big jam bomb. And so it's really important to have a great winemaker to make that selection, at exactly the right time. As a matter of fact, you know what? We're sitting here talking about this, and I'm just bear with me because I've got it right here.
You gotta have it.
I haven't had this wine in a little while, and I really, really want to sip along with you because I just
talking about it, I can tell. You could just your lips were. I gotta have some of this.
It's making me thirsty.
Well, we have a little bit of a problem at Crosby's Crew where luckily wine isn't like my full-time gig, because I say that I can't do any work on the podcast without a glass of wine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
uncivilized.
It's very uncivilized, and it's just disrespectful to the wines. But this particular site is grown in what's called I'll try not to be too wine geeky, but this is a wine podcast, so I can go there a little bit.
No, we love it.
It's grown in a sub AVA of the Walla Walla Valley. So the Columbia Valley is about a quarter of southeastern Washington.
Okay.
And then inside of that is the Walla Walla Valley, which is roughly 20 miles across. And then within the Walla Walla Valley, there's a sub AVA called the Rocks District, which has been called by some famous wine critics the most distinctive and consistent terroir in America. It's this old alluvial fan of the Walla Walla River. You go out and walk through that vineyard, you need to tape your ankles because it's rolled river rocks. It looks like the Rhone Valley.
Wow.
It's just a really amazing site that's so distinctive. Those rocks, they retain heat in the middle of the summer, so you get a longer growing day. They give more heat because that heat sits in the rocks, but then as the season goes on, those rocks actually cool the vineyards, and so you get longer hang time, and you develop this amazing complexity from longer hang time in the vineyard. I just think it's a very, very distinctive and very unique wine.
Well, and it makes sense that you want wine that's representative of the region because you love where you're from. You love it.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's one of the things that we'll talk again about this again a little bit later, but when you grow up in a small town like that and, you have the blessing of living out your childhood dream and getting to be an NFL quarterback. And, first of all, the whole town goes on the ride with you. Everybody's there hanging on every single play. And so many of those people helped me growing up. That part's really cool. But then now having this business that represents, us out into the world, we're representing our hometown. It's not just us. It's not just our family. It's our hometown. It's our region. And so being able to make wines that are truly expressive of a very specific place within our hometown valley is just really, really fun.
Well, yeah, because now everyone who's in your zip code, who's in your town, it's like their name's on the jersey too. Like their name's on the bottle. You're putting Walla Walla, Washington on there, and you better make it good. I
do want to ask a question, like kind of football team focused and in this wine, because you've talked about your winemaker a lot, and obviously partner in these some of these wines, winemaker Josh McDaniels. So talk about that partnership and what that's meant. How long y'all have been in this together? Has he been there? Yeah. Have y'all been in this from the start, or what does that look like?
Yeah. First of all, man, it's so fun to have your name on something and then you pour a glass and I really, really, really love this wine.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
It's just got that even just right out of the bottle, it's just got that pretty juiciness, but then a little pepper to it, and I'm glad you convinced me to go open it. Thanks for the peer pressure. Thanks for the peer pressure. But yeah, Mason, honestly, it's been one of the coolest pieces, for me, and kind of a crazy epiphany a little bit, to learn how similar and how much carryover there is from being a quarterback on a football team to owning and directing a business in terms of what allows you to be successful or what causes you to fail. You've got to have a great plan. You have to execute with precision. You have to adapt to the environment that you're in, whether that's crowd noise or weather or whatever, in the NFL. But in us, obviously, it's Mother Nature. And then, but the most important piece, especially as a quarterback, I was not Lamar Jackson. I was not running around creating stuff on my own, right? I needed 5 dudes in front of me that were blocking their ass off, and I needed guys getting open downfield, and then I could execute my job. Well, it's been really intentional on our part to try to build a championship level team at the winery. And Josh, who's our business partner and winemaker, he's actually our CEO as well, has just been an amazing, head coach, quarterback, for us. It's really unique too, because most winemakers are artists, and it almost precludes them from being good at business. Right. You think about that artist brain and the business brain. They're usually kind of operating on different sides or different hemispheres of the brain. Well, Josh started his own winery when he was 16 years old, when he was in high school. He had actually raised money and started, and he was still 5 years from being legal to drink. But he started because he'd been working at
details.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I don't think his mom loved the idea that he was making booze in high school, but he had grown up working at probably the marquee winery in Walla Walla back in the day, called Leonetti Cellars. And when he started it, he's like, okay, this would be a cool business to start and actually make some money. And then he taught himself to become a great winemaker. And turns out he's become truly one of the world's great winemakers. That's not my opinion. That's somebody else's opinion, but I get to say it because he works.
Yeah, exactly. Hey.
Accolades. They are, man. And but it's just been a cool partnership. And the funny thing is, I handed him the reins to our business when he was 26. He took over from our first winemaker, who was my next door neighbor growing up, and his dad started Leonetti Cellars. But it was kind of funny because people asked me, like, man, you're going to hand over your winemaking to a 26-year-old? And I don't think it even really occurred to me, number one, because I'd been around Josh enough to know that he was ready for it. But I mean, shoot, they handed me the reins to the Patriots when I was 21, and I didn't, I probably was too young for that, but I didn't think I was. And so it's been a really cool partnership. And when we started our third winery, which is Bledsoe McDaniel's, really felt like he deserved to have his name on the front of the bottle, not just the back of the bottle.
So awesome.
And it also was essentially kind of the wedding ring, if you will. He'd been working for us for a while at that point. And
you need to keep him, put a ring on it.
Yes, exactly. Got to put a ring on it, and he, and so he's got significant ownership in the business, and now he's got his name on the front of the bottle, so he can't go anywhere.
That's right.
He's stuck with us.
But that's what good leaders do, right? Like, there's no fear of somebody else. I heard you say it in one of your other podcasts that, you want everybody to rise around you, whether it's the vineyard down the street, and you've got to like that, because, we never wish the Lions or the Vikings or the Bears well. Like, this is different than the NFL, but a lot of it's the same, right? Ultra competitive. You went from one ultra competitive industry to another ultra, maybe the most competitive industry. You're still quarterbacking it, or maybe now you're a little bit of a GM too. But so now you've got this wine team that connects your love of home and the terroir to your past to the present. But if we were looking back in time a little bit, what football team do you feel the most connected to?
Deep question there.
Yeah, no, it's a real question. And I always have to be a little bit of a politician when I answer this, because I want people.
We need you to have a couple more glasses of wine, and then we'll get the real answer.
I'll tell you the real answer. But I want people everywhere to buy wine. So I don't want anybody to hate me. Right. My strongest connection is with the Patriots. I was there for 9 years. Still have a great relationship with the New England region and with Mr. Kraft and the Kraft family. And so that's my deepest connection. But I find myself when we're watching games, my emotional connection is to the Bills and their fans, who have been so loyal for so long, and they've never won a championship. The Patriots have won a bunch now. And so I just find myself, because we had because I feel like Buffalo and Green Bay are probably similar in terms of their small town feel. I feel like the people in Green Bay are generally nicer to opponents than the Buffalo Bills fans are.
Probably true. Yes.
But it's a small town, it feels like you're playing pro ball in a college town, and these people have been incredibly loyal forever, and they've never won a championship. So if the Bills finally do ever break through and win one, I'll be extremely, extremely happy.
For us, Kohler isn't just a brand, it's a part of our story. My dad was an exclusive Kohler dealer, so I grew up knowing their commitment to quality and design.
And for me, I helped open Lodge Kohler in Green Bay, and we've celebrated some of our best memories there, like my 40th birthday at Black Wolf Run.
Kohler, Wisconsin and Kohler properties have always been our favorite places to relax, connect, and of course, enjoy great wine together.
So it feels full circle that Kohler Company, boldly innovating for over 150 years, is now part of Crosby's crew, bringing extraordinary moments to everyday life. Cheers to that.
Are there like some teammates though, or a particular season that when you kind of think back to the people you really connect to or with, it's that, I don't know, what would yours be, Mason? Are you allowed to say it? Like, maybe it is
my favorite year. I mean,
or like the team,
Super Bowl.
Team, but I know some of your buddies, like I think about that year with Pat O'Donnell. I mean, one of his teammates that we were with for one season are almost like the biggest thread now in our life. Like,
well, you know how it is. So it's roommates. So he came from the Bears.
His punter.
The punter came to Green Bay during the off season before they bought a house, found a place to live, stayed in our house. So
we kind of insisted. His wife was pregnant
for 2 weeks or a month living together. like
So
was
fun.
about 4 years of
Friendship.
being on a being friends or being on a team together. So I like some of those roommate those moments. Jordy and Nelson and I roomed in training camp for like 5 years. So it's like that, those connecting points are always, probably the deeper connections than some of the other teammates. Yeah.
So who are the people?
I agree with you. So I think there's something about the early years when you're young together, where you're trying to figure it out, and the veterans are all grown up and scary, and get into the league. They have families and kids, and all this other stuff going on, and we were just young and stupid, and
exactly.
So there's always a connection with those guys that you were in your first couple of years with. And then over time, it's kind of, I've had similar experiences to what you just described, where, like Mike Vrabel, for example, who's now doing a great job coaching the Pats. We were only together for 1 year. But I feel like, we just hit it off immediately. It was really kind of surprising to me because I went back when he got inducted to the Patriots Hall of Fame. It was really surprising, I think, to both of us that we were only together for 1 year, because we developed a really strong connection really quickly. But I think, Mason, one of the things that I talk about that I'm sure you would agree with, that was one of the coolest things being in the NFL was the connections that you build with people that had such incredibly different life experiences than you did, like Bruce Armstrong, who was my left tackle, still to this day, one of my great friends, even though he lives in Florida, so we don't see each other very often, but we keep in touch all the time. Well, Bruce grew up rough, man. He grew up in the city with bullets flying and all this stuff. And I grew up in Walla Walla, where we didn't even lock our door we go on vacation and not lock our house. And it was one of the coolest pieces of that life was to get to know people that you would never have interacted with, in pretty much anything else. Maybe the military, I don't know, but even the military is sort of self-selecting, right? It was just amazing. I mean, what other environment are you going to have, small town kid from Walla Walla with a guy from Miami, with the guy from Southern California. Max Lane was from Norburn, Missouri, which was so small that they canceled church if we played the Chiefs, right? And then guys from the Northeast and guys from the city, and that was such a cool experience, and to still have those friendships now, many years later, man, what a gift! Really, truly a gift.
I love that you said that, because that is like anytime I get to speak in front of young athletes, or, just in any kind of like a business setting, even that, it's just like, be part of a team, like be part of something where you are putting aside all of your social, thoughts or things. And it's like, you need to be part of a team and go out and try to achieve something great, because whenever you're in that locker room, like none of that matters. Like you get to know where you grew up, what you're about, but then it's like, we are going to do something awesome together, and we're going to go try to win a game or win a championship. Like that's all that matters. And it really brings so many different groups together, and it's a special space.
It really is.
Is that going to be your speech for the second graders?
That's my
girls basketball.
I'm coaching second grade girls basketball, so
they got their first game coming up. That'll be a good speech. I think you should lead with that.
Yeah. Well, they have a great, very long attention span as second graders.
I brought together girls that can't dribble, girls that can't shoot, girls that can't don't know what the court,
it's a diverse group.
What the lane is on the basketball court.
Oh, they're so
we're
cute.
Do great things.
They're so cute.
Oh man, you're gonna have so much fun doing that. I coached I ended up coaching in high school too, but I coached like the little boys. They're like third and fourth grade flag football for a few years. And
oh my gosh!
And the funny thing is, so here I'll give you here's some coaching advice for these second grade girls.
I would love that.
Okay. There are certain days, and I don't know if it's the phase of the moon. I don't know if it's something in environment. There's certain days where you get to practice and you just know you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah.
And if you try to fight that, then you will drive yourself crazy and them crazy. And so I had a couple days like that with the boys. We're like, okay, yeah, we're not just line up. We're going to play sharks and minnows. Like, obviously we're not going to do
Run
any
them out.
sort of, we're just going to burn off some energy, and then you guys can go home. And if your dad asks what you did at practice, you can just tell him you played sharks and minnows. And if he wants to talk about why, then I can talk to him. But,
Then we'll talk about.
Yeah. No, it's so fun though, man. What a privilege for us though to have that free time to be able to do that stuff, man. That was one of the many privileges of the life we've led, is that we get to actually really be present during those times. It's pretty amazing.
It really is. Yeah, it's so special. It's been awesome being, I never thought I'd enjoy being done playing like as much as I do, but it's like, being able to chase the kids and be present in their life is just so special.
He is an excellent Uber driver. But we will, this was the first wine of yours that we tried when we were in Kohler, Wisconsin, at the Wisconsin Room. At the American Club, and it was definitely, the sommelier came out, because we love picking the brain of any somm that wants to come over to our table. And we said, just surprise us with something. We want you to choose the wine, and then let's choose the food off of the wine you choose. And when
she said
got,
you had been out there and you had done a tasting there in Kohler, and she was like, all right, well, knowing your background, all that, let's, she
said, it's got to be double back.
Yeah, let's throw, some double back out on the table. And oh man, it was,
so now we're to fantastic. I'm never going to cheer for the Pats. I'm never going to cheer for the Bills, but I will certainly cheer for double back. The,
totally
Bledsoe,
fair.
McDaniels.
Totally fair.
I'll put on a jersey if it says that on the front and the back. Bledsoe and
I
McDaniels.
love that. Yeah, no, that double back. So that was our original reason for being. When we started the business. Oh, you see, you just made the right noise. I love
That's right.
That see,
so relaxing.
And when we set out to do it, so there was an interesting moment with our original winemaker, Chris Figgins, who, as I said, was my neighbor growing up. His parents started Leonetti Cellars, which was the wine that put Washington on the map from a fine wine standpoint.
Nice.
When we set out to try to find a winemaker, that interview process was very simple. Mara and I just sat down and tasted wines and like, okay, well, we like this wine. We should see if we can hire that guy. Well, Chris, I never had any idea that he would ever do any work outside of the family. And so we got sort of reintroduced by a mutual friend. Hey, Chris might want to talk to you. Nice. And I figured out fairly quickly that Chris was actually considering doing something outside the family. But then I had to convince him that I was serious about this, that this wasn't just going to be a hobby. Oh. And I remember we were driving around in his truck at one point, and we're just kind of catching up. But he threw in this really important question that I caught it, and I knew it was a test. He goes, all right, so what's your desert island wine? If you get stuck on a desert island, you can bring only one wine with you. And I knew immediately he was testing me, and I know he was thinking, I'm going to Camus Special Select, or
you've had these interviews before,
Silver Oak or whatever. But no, at that point I really hadn't.
In the football space, you've had
the football space,
question
they try to slide it in.
To trick me,
they try to slide it in, right? And I go, I think if I got stuck with one wine, I would maybe like some nicely aged Barolo. And Chris looked at me. He's like, "Oh, you're kind of cute." Like I could just see immediately.
So he was interviewing you.
He was interviewing me. Yes, exactly. We were sort of interviewing each other. And the reason I bring that up, and the reason that's important, is that Chris then knew that I was not trying to make, this, I guess, stereotypical football player Cabernet, where you go get this super ripe fruit, 200% new American oak, punch you in the face wine. He knew then that I wanted to make wines that, while it's Cabernet, it still has balance and it has elegance to it and complexity to it. And I think it's been over the years, it's been a surprise, I think, to some people, especially some serious wine people, when they try a double back for the first time and they have this perception of what it's going to be. which is a football player wine. And then it's like, oh no, this actually has some nuance to it. It's a balanced wine, and we're always aiming for balance in the wine where everything's in harmony. You've got nice fruit, but that's married with some solid tannic structure. We're not afraid of tannin in wine. We think it should be there. It's got good natural acid, which presents as that juiciness in the wine. And then just a sprinkling of French oak. One of our Somm friends, most of my wine BS is plagiarized, of course, but one of our Somm friends, he describes oak in wine. He goes, oak in wine is like salt in a meal. If there's no salt, the meal falls flat. If there's too much, that's all you taste. And so with oak, it's a component of wine, but it shouldn't be the wine. For sure. So it's been a really cool project. As you said earlier, we started off at a really high point, but one of those other connections with my previous career is that if you're not continuously striving to improve, then you're going to get past. And so it's been a really cool challenge for us as a company, to start out at a high level and then every single year to continue to progress and try to get better every single year. And it gets harder, but that's still the aspirational goal, is to continue to make better wine every single year.
Well, that's a perfect segue. So, a quick little side note is that I love that you weren't trying to make wine for everybody. Like your goal wasn't and I think that, you have 4 kids, we've got 5. Like that's almost the message I want them to most get, is that, you shouldn't be living for everybody else around you. If you live trying to please everyone, you're going to please no one, especially yourself. And so for you guys to have a vision of like, this is what we want. Like, I don't care if I'm not the first wine that everyone thinks of, and that I'm not the same wine maybe year after year after year, because we're not manipulating it in any, way, shape, or form. But this is what we're setting out for. And then you were rewarded for your vision and your, it's not vision. Vision's not the word I'm thinking of, but I didn't spit out any of the other ones. So like, I'm getting a little slow. We're second half.
Of
it's
the
officially
podcast.
second half.
Yeah, you got to adjust. No,
Yeah.
I think you're
There's something there.
First of all,
back to you.
First of all, thank you for saying that, because that really is what we try to do. Our mission statement at our business doesn't even have the word wine in it. Our mission statement is to create genuine happiness for our customers and ourselves. And the ourselves part, Josh actually threw that in. We had sort of agreed on the happiness part. And he goes, yeah, but if we're not making wine we like, what the hell are we doing? And so from the beginning, we've been very consistent in that. We've had some temptations over time to chase a stylistic, decision that maybe the critics would like more. But each time we do that, we come back to our core mission, which is we're going to make wines that we really like. And then, some people are going to agree with us and some people aren't. That's fine. But we're going to be consistent and, year in and year out of making wines that we actually enjoy drinking, like this, those LaForce Syrah.
I know. I got one more question before we move to the next topic, but just thinking of that, where Double Back, it all started, and I guess it's a 2-part question. How many vintages of Double Back have there been? I just want everyone to hear from you how long this has been going, and then obviously from its beginning with a different winemaker, like how has this cab changed? Like, do you feel like you've seen an evolution in Double Back specifically?
Yeah. Well, I just had this thought, the other night I was laying awake, and it was sort of one of those happy, sad thoughts, that when we harvest this coming spring, that will be our 20th harvest.
No way.
Which it just seems crazy to me.
That's awesome.
So the first wine we released was 2007. The current release is 2022. So what's that? Our 16th, I think. I always get
math. I don't know.
I try not to do math in public. Yeah, so it's
Hey, those were my years in Green Bay. So
there you go. Yeah, nice.
07 to 20.
07 to 22.
That's cool.
I love it. Yeah, dude, that's just congrats, man. That's a friggin' solid career.
Oh, thanks. I wasn't trying to say. We can pat myself on the back.
And by the way, and I know you know this, but I just want to say this for people that are out there that may not fully understand this. There should be a separate category for people that kick in Green Bay and people that kick in Buffalo and people that kicking a dome. I mean, come on, it's like hitting range balls indoors.
Hey, you're speaking Molly's language. She's been trying to battle for this for a long time. I thought she sent you this information over.
I fess up
believe that,
about
man.
halfway through his career. I'm like, hey, this is great, but you should probably try and go to a dome. And then he had.
Oh, she tried to get me to leave multiple times. Yeah.
Hey, I was just testing your resolve. That was my desert island question. It was like, are you there? But
I'm just stubborn, Drew. Man, I was like,
no, but it's also,
this is a challenge. I got to keep going.
Absolutely, man. No, it's a friggin' badge of honor, man. You should wear it with pride, especially doing that for that long. And that's why, like when we go to some of these quarterback things, I'd be with Jim Kelly after I was old enough and I wasn't quite as much in awe. And we
not giving him your room number, yeah.
Exactly. But we bump into like Dan Marino and like, dude, anybody can throw for yards in Miami. Come throw for yards in New England. Dude, throw for yards in Buffalo. Like, come on.
You're
dude.
like the only person qualified to say that, and I love it.
Exactly. So it's anyway, that was a digression. Oh, you were asking how the wine has changed over time.
Yeah.
It's a hard question to answer in a real definitive way. It's been a continuous evolution, where we're trying to get better, each year. And one of the things that I think has allowed us, especially over the last 5 or 6 years, to really evolve, is around this word sustainability, which is a big buzzword in the world right now. And it should be. And a lot of it is kind of greenwashed, where people say they're the sustainable choice, which is never negative. Some of it's just BS. But for us, it's got a deeper meaning. So the environmental piece has always been obvious to us. We make a product that comes from the land. We should take care of the land. So we go to the nth degree to take care of our vineyards. We're very responsible and regenerative with how we do things. A lot of places we don't even mow now. We just lay the grass down so it retains water, goes back into the soil. It really let Mother Nature be Mother Nature. And we're really responsible with how we do everything from growing grapes to shipping and you name it. But the bigger evolution for us in the last 5 or 6 years has been around people sustainability.
Okay.
When you think about ag, particularly in northern climates, and especially with fruit, you're generally talking about seasonal labor. You're talking about contracted labor. People come work for you for, 7 to 9 months, and then they have to figure out how to feed their family in the wintertime, whether that's go south or going welfare or whatever. Well, in 2019, we started our own farming company. That's up to now 25 people. Our people are paid better than anybody else in the Northwest. They have retirement benefits and they have health benefits. But most importantly, they have year-round employment. So they never have to worry about how they're going to feed their family in the wintertime. They never have to worry about what happens if their child gets sick. And for us, we set out to do that because it's the right thing to do. But when we talk about the continuous evolution of our wine, that's been a big piece of it because these people now, they treat the vineyards as if they own them. They call the vineyards, they call them our vineyards. They're not the boss's vineyards. And so what we're seeing, it all starts in the vineyard, of course. And what we're seeing over time is a continued progression in each of our vineyards, and the fruit quality has continued to go up and up. Wow. And then from there, watching Josh grow into his role, I would say one of the things that I appreciate about his winemaking style with the Cabernet is that it's approachable as a young wine. Like these are serious wines. They're big wines, but they also are made in a way that you don't have to wait 15 years. They can be really pleasurable even when they're really, really young. And I think that's been a more recent evolution in the wines. We still recommend, if people have the patience, lay them down for a few years or open them in the morning and drink them at night. But I really
always
do
good
think
intentions.
Yeah, there's always good intentions. Exactly, Mason. But it's, I think that to answer your question, the change has been evolutionary. There's been no revolutions in what we do. It's just a continuous, progression, trying to do better and better at everything that we do.
That's absolutely beautiful. And I already liked your wines a lot, but if that's the sort of thing that makes you that's what I like about wine, is it's so encompassing to your senses, but not a ton of wine like appeals directly to your heart. And as like a parent, knowing that, I really need a glass of wine at the end of the night with dinner. Like it's kind of part of our ritual. I'm not a good relaxer. Makes me a better mom. Makes me a better wife.
That's right.
Doesn't make me a better cook, but it's fine. But we like the wine stories. It's really kind of a huge part of this podcast. Yeah. And we kind of joke around with the tagline, like, can seltzer say that? You can't. And
but honestly, how you described like what y'all have done there at Bledsoe Wines is that, I mean, for me, as you're saying it, it's like, that's what the Green Bay Packers did, right?
That's a good connection.
It's a mindset of now
selling stock.
You've built community.
Shareholders.
The Green Bay Packers sell pieces of paper, but then everybody feels like they have this ownership stake and they will protect it with their life, right? Yeah. And you're doing that at your business that is making wine, but it is a business. And now you have all this buy-in where employees now are part of something bigger and special.
They're part of the success. They're owners too.
Yeah. And it really makes a difference. It's a cultural thing that like really drives quality forward, which is so important. Mace, do you want to skip this and go to this? Yeah, I think we answered a lot of those. So.
I can't believe we're going to skip this segment, but we have to because people had questions for you. I think Mason's like getting texts of more questions.
I have some questions. I do a radio show out of Wisconsin, and my co-host on the show grew up in Boston, a huge Patriots fan. So he had a number of questions.
We'll edit it.
I'll edit it down to a few.
Cool. I think I maybe mentioned that we do 2 formats for Crosby's Crew, and one is with our podcast partners out of Napa. Keith Emerson is the winemaker and CEO at Vineyard 29, and he was actually super juiced up hearing that you were coming on because he's from Massachusetts.
He said you had visited Vineyard 29 before.
Yeah,
we have. Yeah, been a number of years. It's been a number of years, but yeah, we've still got like a few bottles in the cellar too.
Oh, he's going to be elated that you remember. And by the way, I have a business idea for us. We should babysit people's wine where you can't open it before, like you pick the year you want to drink it, and like we lock it away. And from ourselves too.
Wine babysitting. I like that.
I can't. I mean, it's basically like, don't people pay to age their cheese places? We learned about this in Wisconsin.
And then it's sneaky.
Because I can't ever let it age. We always drink. We always drink it.
No self-control.
Zero.
Yeah.
That's why we have. Is that why we have 5 kids?
You got to leave the box closed. Yeah. Well, it turns out since in the last decade at our business, the people that work for us have, I think, the people that work for us have had I haven't done the math. I think it's somewhere around 15 or 16 children.
Oh my gosh.
And so it turns out wine does cause babies. It should be in the warning label. That's
going to be a label.
It's like a warning / promise. I don't know.
Exactly.
But so Keith had, you can just go ahead and run through these. Keith had several questions. He wants to know your favorite vineyard block and your favorite varietals, and, what barrels you choose and why.
Okay. So, favorite vineyard block, it's the PC answer is to say, well, these wines are all like all of my children. I love them all equally. That's not true. That's not true.
Day to day.
There's
the kids.
There's block 1 at McQueen Vineyard, which was one of the originals that we planted back in 2007, and specifically the Clone 6 Cabernet that comes from there.
Wow.
It is just like, if we could, we have to make business decisions in addition to just, doing
Right.
everything that we want. But if we ever did do like a really small run of Doubleback, it would be just that Clone 6 Cabernet from Block 1. It's just this amazing, intense wine that it's awesome. Favorite varietals, again, back to the distinction we make between what we want to do and what we can build a business around. Josh and I both love the Barolos, and specifically the Barolos from Northern Italy. We decided a couple of years ago that we're going to do one thing selfishly. We're going to plant a couple of rows of Nebbiolo and see if we could come close to replicating what happens in Barolo. So, leaving our production and going to another part of the world, like a great Barolo that's been aged 15 to 20 years is just those are just amazing contemplative.
That's so awesome, because that's part of our podcast as well that we've tried to talk about a few times, is like here in America, in the States, in Washington, in Oregon, and in California, like how many different varietals you can plant and try to experience, right? And so you're planting Nebbiolo and trying to make your own.
And that was part of the mission statement. That. Make yourselves happy also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's and so far
the
Josh,
Nebbiolo clause.
My favorite thing to point out when Josh and I do events together is that it's Josh now lives my former life. He's either great at his job or he gets fired. And right. so with the Nebbiolo, well, you better make it great, Josh, or you're fired.
Yeah,
he's
he took a risk. Now you got to get it done.
There's enough water under that bridge that he could actually fail a few times and still keep his job. But so far he hasn't.
Throw a few incompletions, miss a couple kicks, and you'll still you're all right after you got a little experience.
Yeah, exactly. But so far he's batting 1,000.
One of the best things about this podcast is how it connects our love of wine with the people and companies who share that passion.
Like Perlick Refrigeration. We first crossed paths through Mason's work with Sartori Cheese and Make-A-Wish, where Mason met Jeff Schwager, who's now on Perlick's board and an investor in one of our favorite Napa wineries, Ovid.
Perlick has been setting the standard for wine storage for over a century, and their wine refrigeration is second to none, because great wine deserves perfect care.
We're proud to have Perlick as part of Crosby's crew, keeping our wine at the perfect temp, from the first pour to the last drop.
Okay, we had another listener who wanted to know one thing football. Oh, wait, no, Keith had one more. How do you choose your barrels?
Oh, the barrel choices.
How do we choose the barrels? We actually use 5 different cooperages all from France. Turns out the French are really proud of their barrels. They're very expensive. And then within that, we'll do different toast levels with different barrels. And so the way that Josh describes it is, and the barrels are part of this equation, is we're never just, he calls himself Bob Ross. Right. So nice. Bob Ross, he goes, Bob Ross never makes a painting from one color. He makes a painting from all these different colors. And so by having, the different varietals, different vineyard blocks, and then different barrels is a big part of that, you're putting together a palette of different profiles in the wine that then you use to make a painting. But barrels can make a big impact. We've done it a few different times. We'll do the same wine in 3 or 4 different barrels. And then just do a barrel tasting, which is really interesting and actually quite impactful to the wine. So it's very intentional, and each year we're experimenting with different barrels. The problem is in wine, all the experiments take multiple years. You don't get to just go. You don't just to go in and let's try this today, and then we'll try that tomorrow. You try this and you age the wine in it for 18 to 22 months, and then you see what the impact is, and then you make a decision for like 3 years out.
Wow.
So, that's where you have to have somebody that has a lot of prior knowledge and experience to make those calls. But yeah,
well, we keep falling more. I mean, you literally just compared your barrels to Bob Ross and our Josh, your winemaker to Bob Ross. Like, I'm like, how many more things can you say that will make
my mom's
us
all-time
and everyone
favorite.
Listening want more of this wine? I mean, come on.
Okay. Next up, rapid fire. One thing football taught you that isn't about football.
Oh man, that's a whole separate podcast. We could
exactly.
Let's do it.
I know
More
Mason.
double back.
Mason, you
go.
know this. We could talk about this for hours. But probably the biggest one is that you have to learn to embrace adversity. You don't survive adversity; you embrace adversity. When something goes wrong, that's an opportunity. And that's been so true in our business. Every time something has gone sideways, which we don't try to screw up on purpose, but every time something has gone wrong, we've come out the other side as a better business. And so when something, whether that's a personnel issue, whether that's weather, whether that's, market conditions, whatever it is, it's always forced us to be better. And so when adversity comes our way, we always look at that as an opportunity. And I think that that's how you have to approach it in football. You miss a kick, you throw a pick six, you lose a couple games, whatever, you either go in the tank or you come out the other side stronger and better. And so we've learned to embrace that adversity.
I love that. I tell my kids all the time, and this is how I've always lived my life. I'm like, I hate the word failure, and I believe failure doesn't exist until you quit trying, until you quit moving in a direction. Like you only 100%. Fail whenever you stop. Like whenever you stop putting in that effort. So
that's really good.
I'm telling my 8-year-olds that tonight.
Oh yeah, basketball practice tonight.
You should just, I think we, instead of practice, just sit them down and make them watch the podcast. I'm sure they would love that.
We have a lot of inspiration here for sure. All right, I'll give one question from my co-hosts, and it's actually interesting. I didn't realize this. They brought it to my attention. So prior to this past weekend's, or a couple weekends ago, I think it was this past weekend games. I think it was Jacoby Brissett just broke your completion or amount of completions in one game record. What was yours? 45?
Yeah.
Are you still sore from that game? I saw that you had 70 pass attempts. I mean,
it was.
Who throws the ball 70 times in a game? That's crazy.
Especially playing for Bill Parcells. And that was all the way back in 1994, back when people weren't slinging the ball all over the place. But it's funny, every once in a while that I come up and Bruce Armstrong, who I talked about earlier, my left tackle, people ask me that question, "Oh man, was your shoulder sore?" And Bruce would be like, "Dude, the heck with that, dude. That was 70 pass sets for me. 70.
Gotta love those O linemen.
And 0 sacks. So 70 pass attempts, 0 sacks. So they like to bring that up from time to time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I had. I think there's. I don't know if I have any records left. I think there's one that might still be there, but I haven't looked. I think at one point I had the most overtime touchdown passes.
Nice.
I like that one.
Because overtime usually goes to you guys, goes to the kickers. Usually, especially back in the day where you only just had to score. Now they've got to score a touchdown or the other team gets it. So it may have been broken just because teams are more aggressive in overtime now. But I think I had 4 overtime touchdown passes, which was the most. I haven't looked to see. Outside of that, I think I think all those records have gone by the wayside.
We have to not follow them because Mason's only been gone from Green Bay for a handful of years, and I mean, yours are getting broken right and left
kick
too.
Already got, records are made to be broken.
A backup guy came in.
You
set a new bar,
and you set the bar, and then you challenge someone to break it.
And then you set back with the good wine, and you watch the young kids do it.
It still kind of pisses you off, though. I mean, let's just be honest. I know. And actually, the one that actually bothered me a little bit, and I'm being joking, of course, but
I love this. Yeah.
But Josh Allen went in and he beat my single season passing record for the Bills. But I was watching that season, and they were playing games in November, and it was 70 degrees and sunny. I'm like, wait a second. This is not Buffalo weather. This
doesn't count.
This doesn't count, man. There should be an asterisk beside that. And obviously, I love Josh, love watching him play. But it's like, wait a second, man. He's throwing the ball. It's perfect out right now.
Yeah. Global warming. Congratulations.
Seriously, absolutely. It was never like that when we were in Buffalo.
The other thing that I think is really awesome is, you talk about all these diverse people coming together and being on a team and not having much in common, but then achieving something great. But now you guys are both of you are in this new era of your career where now it's what you make of it. And I don't have any other quarterbacks wine in our wine cellar.
Exactly.
So it's
there are a couple. I'll plug a couple of buddies.
I don't own them.
I know, but I'm just telling you that so Rick Meyer, who was drafted the same year as I was in '93, is making some really killer wine from Napa under the Mirror label.
Okay.
And he's making legit wine. He's got a rock star, Kurt Van Gay, is second generation rock star winemaker in Napa. And then Damon Heward and Dan Marino partnered on a wine in Washington called Passing Time. And they're doing the same deal. They're making some kick-ass juice. So there are some other quarterback wines out there that I would give my stamp of approval to.
Okay. Nice.
I think that's very classy of you, and it just makes me want to buy more Doubleback.
They're not as good as ours, but they're really good.
Exactly.
Okay, well, it's time you can ask us any question. I know you're just dying to.
Yeah, what do you got for us?
Question.
All right. Well, let's go on the wine side first. It's sort of the standard question, but for both of you, and I don't know if this happened the same time. That first wine that you had that made you say, okay, this is different and I want to learn more about wine?
You're going to laugh because mine is the story that you got asked by your winemaker because prior to being in the NFL, anytime I'm not drinking wine. Like I'll drink a mixed drink. I'll have a beer. I'm not drinking cheap wine. I don't like the fruity taste, all the sugar, all the stuff. Every time I drink a cheap bottle of wine, I'd get a headache. So
you didn't drink any wine, rum and Coke.
Yeah, I'd avoid it. Mm-hmm. But this is a funny, you talk about going out to dinners, things like that. We're in Jacksonville, 2008 or 2008.
I don't do numbers.
Charles Woodson is there with all the DBs, and Woodson, they couldn't get a table. It was pretty busy. Who I was there with, some of the people didn't show up. I said, hey, can they join us? Sure. Come over. Woodson orders a bottle of Camus. And honestly, to that point, I had never had anything more than a $5 bottle of wine, in college. Right. And so I'm just like, whoa. This at least has something that I can get on board with. And yes, through the years, developed a different palate for sure. But that was my first experience of a teammate saying, hey, try this. And then him, sending me and giving me some of his wine that he was growing there in Napa as well. And then some of my teammates, some offensive linemen now, have their own label and things like that. And so it's just been fun for me to dive deeper into this space after that first experience of, okay, this wine tastes different. It's better. And now I want to explore down that path.
I feel like you almost had two iterations of it though. You had that moment with Charles Woodson, which was the first time you ever had wine and steak together with a future Hall of Famer like Drew, and you had never had a drink before a game,
it was
the night before a game.
I'm like, you're winning defensive MVP and you have a glass of wine before night before a game. I'm like, I guess I need to do this. Maybe I'll make every kick moving on.
So there's two things on that. One is I've always felt like wine should be reclassified as food. You don't go sit down and drink a bottle of wine because you're trying to get hammered. It's generally something
it's part of something.
And I've had dinner, had wine with dinner, a handful of times before games. But the Woodson story, we did a deal together, a podcast deal together. And he's talking about his wine, which is called Intercept. And he goes, yeah, I wanted to come up with a brand name that wasn't, offensive to anybody. And I was like, Woody, dude, Intercept?
It's offensive to me.
What about the quarterbacks? That's offensive as hell to me. I mean, come on, that's BS. But how about you, Molly?
I don't know if I can pinpoint a wine. For me, I waitressed in college at a steak place. And it was, so it started with my dad when I was young. He always had a glass of really terrible wine with dinner, but I thought in my opinion, he loves it and he loves it to this day. So it's good for him. But I liked how it looked on the table next to his dinner. And he'd give me a sip, and I liked how it changed Mom's meatloaf a little bit. And
right.
So I just was open to it. And then I guess I do have a wine. I do have a wine. Okay, I'll fast forward. So I'm adopted, but my adopted dad is Italian. And we kind of look alike. It turns out I'm not at all Italian, which breaks my heart. If I could go back, I wouldn't have ever done 23andMe.
I told you not to do it.
You did tell me not to do it. Broke my heart. But so I just always identified a lot with him. Then I waitress in this steak place, and it just kind of like you're doing at the steak place on a small scale is what the owner did. Like I felt really part of something great. The people whose tables I waited on, who were kind and seemed like they were having a great time, were having wine with their dinner. And then they brought in like wine education. Yeah. And it was great because they had this person come in to help us sell wine better. And she's like, there's 2 rules with wine. She's like, the first rule is, meat, you need red meat, you need red wine, fish and chicken, you need white wine. And she said, and the second rule is forget rule number 1 and drink what you like. And so it was like this really high-end place. It was this high-end place that like wasn't pretentious, but serving great stuff. I felt empowered. I spilt red wine on a woman once, and she didn't even break a sweat. She goes, honey, go get me some white wine and we'll blot this right out. And so I just liked the people. And then when I was studying in Italy, and I was a cheerleader in college, so I had to do like the Maymester, so you didn't miss seasons. So I went with an engineering program. We lived in a convent in Rome. We took a trip. Yes, I actually got locked out one night too. That was super unfortunate. They said they would lock the door. I didn't believe them. They did. So we go to Orvieto in Tuscany. And I had like one of those moments in my life. And it was, you go up this spiral road that gets you to the top of this hill in Tuscany. And for lunch, I had like fresh mozzarella, a super hard roll, some melon, and a glass of Orvieto Classico. So I'm just drinking this white wine in the place where it's grown and made. And like sun is warming my face. And I would write home about it. And Mason read the blog because I send it to everybody, including you.
Oh gosh, I was special.
You were special. And he came back early to report for football. And my doorbell rings and I look out the window and there's a bottle of Orvieto Classico, which is like super cheap white wine. It's so inexpensive. It's like $9 or $10.
Stop being on vacation.
And I love it.
It's the thought that counts.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, he crushed it.
So I have another question. I'm going to put you on the spot. We're going to see just how strong your union is. You have to describe each other as a wine.
Oh, wow. That is such a good one. And another business idea. This would be a fun game. You want to go first? You can go first.
Okay.
I don't want to push you guys into marriage therapy here. So if you want to think about this and get back to me,
honestly, like I'm going to choose one of your wines, for the moment. And you talked about like the soil and the raw, that Syrah is, I would right now from the wines we drink today, that would be Molly. It's like,
oh, there you go. Love
it's got, some edge, a little spice.
Not untrue.
But then it's just like, it's always going to be there. It's always smooth. It's always like available and ready.
It's me around.
But you got some edge. There's some, she'll lay it down here at the house. You're runs
talking
a tight
about
ship.
last night's family meeting?
She runs a tight ship. We had a family meeting last night that was hardcore.
Well, that's so Molly, I do want you to know that, it's 2025 and we can choose what we identify. If you want to identify as Italian, just go with it. Like nobody's ever going to push back. We went to Italy for the first time a number of years ago, and my wife's Irish. I don't even know what I've got a bunch of just whatever. But we went to Italy. It was like, wow, it turns out we're both Italian. We just didn't know. I just love everything about how they live, how they exist, all of it. Anyway, so identify as Italian, just go with it.
Just
nobody will ever second guess you. And that little spice, that's very Italian. So I do think
it's in there.
You can pull it off.
Okay, I appreciate that more than you know. Okay, for yours. Okay, I will also kind of reference what Drew was talking about. You are one of the most balanced people I know. I think it's why you were able to play as long as you did. Not that that's like the most important thing, but I've never seen anybody more able to know when you're supposed to be laser focused in it, like the way you can flip a switch between just total cool as a cucumber, cutting it up, no big deal, to winning the game. Amazes me. I think you're balanced. I think that you are, you've always been a little bit shock and awe. So like you kind of got a robust, like you're right there on the palate, like right when it starts, but you have real lasting, you have good finish.
So that's what I am?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am a finish. Yeah. I mean, I finish off games. I mean, when quarterbacks can't put it in the end zone.
He didn't mean that. We love having you on this podcast. He doesn't mean it at all.
That happens. I feel like if we sent the kicker on the field, I failed. And,
He found a way to bring it back.
Unless it's an extra point, I feel like I didn't get my job done if the kicker has to come out there.
Exactly.
All right.
I always joked that I always felt like Coach McCarthy was mad at me about something because every time
he was so disappointed.
Every time I had to go on to kick a field goal, he was just so angry and pissed off. Like he would just be like,
exactly.
I didn't do anything.
That drive didn't end the way we wanted it to. I want you to kick extra points only.
That's all I wanted to do as well. I mean,
exactly. Right.
So which one of these wines is your wife? We're almost at the end. I promise. I'm sorry. We kept you so long.
Yeah, this was so good.
Okay, yeah. I don't think she's listening, but she might see this someday. I'll try to be. That's interesting.
Is it one from her valley in Oregon?
Yeah. I mean, I think I would say that. But Mason, the way that you describe Molly, she's extremely kind, super sweet, right up until she's not. And so
just
I guess
underlying little spice.
I guess I would go with that Pinot Noir because she's she's easy to be around, super fun, funny, friendly, and then she can also be serious when it's time to be serious.
I love it
when it calls for it.
Well, that's my final question to you too, because we talked about family a little bit, but we didn't ask a ton of questions about your family, which I feel like was a miss. But
that was kind of a feeling.
With your kids, and obviously I know you and your wife are partners and heavily involved in this together. Are your kids involved in the business? Are they going to get involved? Like, what is that? What does that look like?
Not yet is the short answer. Our oldest son is 28, just got married. He did get his degree in wine business from Cal Poly in California. So, and he's working in a wine related tech company. So I could see him potentially wanting to come back and get into the business. And then the other three, we'll see. I got great advice at one point from one of my mentors. He said, you don't build a business for your kids. You build a great business. And then if your kids, and then if your kids want to work for you, they will come work for you. So that opportunity is there for them. The three boys are currently actually employed.
Well done, you.
Yeah, that's a success.
Cheers.
Go parents. They actually are supporting themselves. And then our daughter is getting her master's in education. She's going to be a teacher.
Awesome.
Which my parents are both teachers, so they're extremely proud that they got one. But the cool thing on the teacher side, though, Healy could actually work for us in the summertime, and then she could work weekends at one of the tasting rooms and still teach, so she could have supplementary income. So, but we'll see. At some point, I could see one or two of them maybe coming back and getting the business. But for the time being, it's just me and Mara.
Awesome.
It's interesting. Like, that's what I like about Crosby's crew is we kind of fight for time to connect as a couple. And I look forward to these podcasts because we have a glass of wine usually each night with dinner because it's important to us, but to to stop and make the day special and be done with work and all of that. But it's important as a married couple, I think, to find something that is just yours. Like you didn't build it for your kids. You built it because you liked it. But now it's time to reveal which one we enjoyed tasting the most. I forgot to bring the whiteboards over again. So maybe we just hold up our bottles. Got them right here. And you tasted 2 of them, didn't you? Was there one that tasted better? Not better. Which one suited you best today?
Yeah, like this is just a daily thing because I'm like,
Yeah, no, well, actually, the first one that I was on was actually not ours. It was a Lingua Franca estate from the Willamette Valley of Pinot Noir, which they're great. Great friends and make killer wine. But yeah, I honestly was not planning on opening that Lafort when
it called to you.
It was the right move.
But I'm really, really glad I did. I just really, truly love that wine, and I love what Josh is doing with that fruit.
Yeah, I think honestly, like the question you asked about Molly and all that, like for today, like this one and like the time of day, like the Syrah, this Lafleur just hit the spot. Like that was like so good. Obviously your double back is just like.
No, you pick one. You pick one for the whiteboard. You can't. Well,
today, this moment, I'm going like, I love the Syrah. Oh,
this
just pick one.
So
you
hard.
did the pick one to me, and now you're like,
I know.
You're like the last person to just pick one thing.
I think I poured a third taste of the double back, but I really liked the Pinot Noir too.
Third taste, yeah.
Maybe I'll have the Pinot Noir with Thanksgiving. We'll send some to your parents' house. Which one of these are you having with Thanksgiving? Or is it not one of these?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, turkey is such a hard pairing. I keep sort of subtly hinting that maybe we change it up and just go like prime rib for Thanksgiving.
Don't hit me. It's a turkey
I've been
day.
saying this for years. I'm like,
dude, come on,
why are we doing
right?
turkey? Like,
I don't even hear. Right? I don't even hear you right now. I love turkey.
And so, I like the gravy. So I don't know. I mean, the Syrah would be a great pairing, but we're going to have all the kids home and they like wine. They actually, Stu, our oldest, actually appreciates what he's drinking. The other kids are like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
They haven't had much bad wine. So we might go get like some Yellowtail or something for the kids, and then we'll hide a good bottle. We'll hide a good bottle for me and Mara. We'll have some Syrah.
This sounds like a big family. Okay, so how do our listeners or ourselves, what is it like to come and see the tasting room or the vineyard? How do we buy your wine?
Yeah.
How do the people buy your wine?
Yeah, thank you, Molly. I appreciate it. I was going to forget that. So first of all, come see us. Our little town is so cool. Obviously, I'm biased, but it's at this really cool point in its evolution. And we tell people it's like going to the Napa Valley, but going back in time 40 or 50 years.
I love that.
And we've had long-time, winemakers in Napa come up and see us and say, yeah, this is what it felt like when I was growing up.
Oh, that's cool.
They're somewhere around like 130-ish wineries. The restaurant scene has followed. The restaurants are absolutely amazing. There's actually a couple of good golf courses too. But it's unspoiled. Like you pull into town, it's farmers in their pickup trucks,
Okay.
So you can have a fancy French meal and sit next to a farmer that's got dirt on his boots. So it's really a cool place to come visit. When you do come visit, reach out to us first. We're very easy to find in terms of buying wine. You just go to doubleback.com or bledsoewine.com and it'll pop up. And all people have to do is just, if you throw your info in, our team will reach right out to you and let you know what's available now and what'll be coming in the future. But yeah, every time people come visit Walla Walla, it becomes their favorite wine region in America, and they come back over and over and over again. It's just this little hidden gem out there. It's really, really fun place to visit.
I can't wait till we get till we find a time to venture out there.
We're bringing Jim and Amy.
Yeah, we're
yes,
coming.
Bring Jim and Amy. I'll grab my brother and Courtney, and we will definitely have a lot of laughs. I can promise that.
Well, we want to congratulate you on this second iteration. You realize you're still running in seasons here, vintages, but we love what you're doing. We are so excited you would join us. We plan on, finding our way out there. And we also want to encourage everyone who's listening to go ahead and grab some wine for their tables, drink it with friends, drink it with food, drink. What is it? Vote early, vote often. Drink early, drink often. I don't know. Maybe
as much as you can. I'm good. I love that.
Cheers
Absolutely.
to you, Drew. We
Cheers,
appreciate
Drew.
you.
Yeah, so fun. Thank you guys for having me on, and we'll look forward to hosting you out here in the Great Northwest when you make it this way. You just have to. Hopefully, you got some you're almost to that age where you could leave the kids unsupervised.
Getting close,
that's
but
still scary.
The good news is Mason's parents are like, we want the kids as
always
much as
willing
we
to help,
possibly
yeah.
can, and we don't need you.
Grandparents are the best invention of all time, and so yeah,
Right
you
behind
leave them
wine.
and come out right behind wine. Yes, exactly. So
That's right.
Yeah, leave them with the grandparents and come see us, and just let me know when you're coming.
Not a family
We'll plan
trip.
a trip.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right, see you guys.
Who you share it with.
Well, that's it for this pour. Thanks for spending time with Crosby's crew. If you tried one or all of the wines from today's episode, we want to hear about it. Head to our socials and let us know which one was your favorite and why.
Curious about what we're tasting next? Check the lineup and send us your questions. We'll be answering them in the upcoming episodes. Nothing's too nerdy or too simple. If you're wondering, someone else is probably wondering too.
And hey, before you go, just a reminder that drinking and driving is never okay. Please enjoy wine responsibly. Always have a designated driver lined up before the bottles open and consume in moderation.
Until next time, cheers from the crew.